I'm not quite strong enough to make it through the swamp cave, so I decide to explore the other way around. Since there are no blockades on the map, the only thing preventing you from going anywhere are the enemies. Down south they are still a little too strong for me, but I can make it to the mountain cave. The enemies here are manageable, but I don't want to outstay my welcome and run out of resources either. I carefully explored the cave and found something very interesting. A treasure. Now this is very important, as this will be the first actual treasure I found in the entire game. And what is inside this treasure chest? Yes! Okay, that's fine. There are 2 more treasure chests right over here. Let's see what's inside this one. Alright, what the fuck is going on here? Why are the contents of these chests so fucking ass? This game used a battery backup save system, but the original Japanese version used passwords. The problem with passwords is that the more data you want to save, the more complex the password becomes. So in order to keep the password somewhat simple, they decide to only save the player's stats and inventory. This means that chests and magic doors respawn when you leave an area. This is why the contents of these chests suck so much. If they were good, it would be possible for the player to just move in and out of areas and farm golden items. And we wouldn't want that, right? So if they're going to be that miserly with the gold, why even have chests at all? I guess because it's expected of a game like this to have them. Well, if you can do it right, maybe you just shouldn't have done it at all. This isn't even that strange of a design choice. Castlevania 2 does the same thing. The difference is that every static item in that game can only be gotten once. Grabbing an item twice does nothing. And although you can downgrade items like the whip by buying a worse version, you can also upgrade them again, so there's no harm in it. Meanwhile, the money in the game is only dropped by enemies. So I understand why they had to do that in the Japanese version, but why didn't they fix this in the American release? This game does have a save system, so why didn't they change it? Also, you may wonder why the chest and door in the king's room don't respawn, but it's my theory that the room you start in is different from the room you return to when you go back up the stairs. A pretty clever solution, I have to admit. Alright, let's see what's in this final chest. Whoa, 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 what is this? A fighter's ring? An actual item? Whoa, this is great! This is what I've been waiting for! An actual treasure. It does nothing. Mysteries like Missing No, Luigi in Mario 64 and Herobrine are all well documented on the internet. But so far, no one seems to have solved the mystery of the fighter's ring. Until now. That's right, I'm getting the scoop on this one. The ring actually does do something. If you interact with it in your inventory, it will say you put it on, which effectively equips it. In the town of Rimeldar, you meet a soldier who says, "True warriors wear rings." But if you talk to him while wearing the ring, he'll say, "You're much too young to be married." Yeah, it's basically a bait and switch. Rings are so cool. What, you're wearing a ring? That's so lame. What an asshole. So is that it? Technically, yes. But that's not good, right? Like, that sucks. And Dragon Quest fans know that too. So people have come up with all kinds of theories around its possible use. The main theory is that it was supposed to have an in-combat effect, which doesn't work because of a glitch or programming bug. I've looked all over the code, and I can conclude that the fighter's ring has no effect on combat. It does not reference in combat related code at all, only in relation to the man in Rimeldar. Unless the programmers completely forgot to code it, there is no evidence of this being a bug. This bug was also not patched in any of the remakes, which implies it's not a bug at all. Dragon Quest fans though seem to be convinced that it's supposed to have an effect. According to one Dragon Quest wiki, the fighter's ring is supposed to increase strength, and according to another one, it's supposed to increase strength, agility, and or repels weaker monsters. That right there is already pretty sus. Both claim something completely different, and one can't even decide. This is because they're wrong, evidenced by the fact they don't have any evidence or source of any kind. There is a complete lack of official accounts of this item in general. The fighter's ring is not mentioned in the manual or even by Enix or any of the developers. The only source I was able to find was in Nintendo Power issue number 9, November 1989, where there was an entire Dragon Warrior strategy guide included. This strategy guide is insane. It has so much detail in the art. Seriously, just look at the slime art. That's what I feel like after playing this game. However, the information in it is very basic and is filled with mistakes. The description of the fighter's ring simply reads, Slip on the ring and it will increase your fighting ability. I'm willing to bet 1 trillion euros that they just made it up. They probably had no idea what it did either. So they figured they'd just say it increased attack or something. And why not? Was anyone going to fact check them? Even to this day, no one can explain what it does, so may as well. The plot thickens as there are actually 3 more equipable items in this game, all of which do have an effect. The Dragon Scale and the Cursed Belt and the Death Necklace. The latter 2 being cursed. Both these items will curse you if you interact with them. When cursed, you are not allowed in the castle, which means you can't save. When you die, you do return there, but you are immediately kicked out. Of course, there are theories about them making you skip turns in combat, which are once again not reflected in the code. Removing the curse is as easy as going to the cleric in the town next to the castle, so it's no big deal. They're worth a lot of money though. The necklace especially, which can actually be found in this exact cave, if you're lucky. If you're not, you still get a decent amount of gold. Honestly, it's the best chest in the entire game, value-wise. The Dragon Scale is where it gets really weird. It's for sale in the item shop. When I first saw it, I thought it was a consumable, like the herbs and torches and such. In the manual, it says that it increases defense, so I figured it worked like an X defense and would raise your defense 1 stage in combat. Of course, such an item would only be useful in a boss fight, so I didn't bother with it. But when I finally did, I was surprised to find out this item is not a consumable. It's equipable, very similar to the fighter's ring. When you interact with it, it's equipped forever, and interacting with other dragon scales in your inventory will just tell you it's equipped already. Not only is it equipped forever, you don't even need to keep it in your inventory. You can sell the fucking thing, and even if you buy a new one, it will still tell you it's equipped already. The fighter's ring, on the other hand, is unequipped when you sell every single one in your bag. So wait, if this thing is equipped forever, then why can I even buy multiple in the store? Why are they still for sale in towns on the other side of the continent? Why even have an item like this? And before you ask, yes, it has an effect. When in battle, every time you take damage, it checks if the dragon skill is equipped and increases your defense by 2. This actually has code associated with it. It is scary how similar in use this item is to the fighter's ring, except it actually has an effect and is 100 times more available. The best part is that getting this item is actually optimal at the start of the game. The defense boost it gives is equal to the clothes, can be stacked with the clothes, isn't removed when new armor is bought, and only costs 10 gold more, which you can recoup by instantly selling it back for 10. So wait, does that mean that the dragon scale is the one that's bugged? Why does the effect linger? How is that these 2 items are polar opposites of each other? What's even crazier is that the cave this ring is found in, the mountain cave, doesn't have anything else going on at all. There is no plot reason to go in this cave. It doesn't lead anywhere, it just has some treasure chests in it, with the fighter's ring and the cursed necklace chest being the high points of the cave. So what does the fighter's ring do? The most logical conclusion is that it's supposed to be a joke. The soldier in Rimeldar is supposed to make you curious about it. Then when you actually get it, they make fun of you for wearing it. It's a red herring joke. So now that we know it's a joke, is it a good one? Humor is subjective, but at the very least, a joke should be recognizable as a joke. For 40 years, no one realized this was a joke in the first place. I think that counts as a bad joke. I'm certainly not laughing. If this joke was funny to anyone, it was the people who made the game. They sure made a fool out of us, making us think like that ring actually did something. What makes this joke so morbid is that this entire game is all about grinding gold and experience to get stronger. Exploration is supposed to be half the fun of a game like this. Hell, the reason most games give really good rewards for exploring is explicitly to condition players to grind less, to make them go out into the world and find new challenges. This ring could have been a reward like that. This cave could have been an optional dungeon that rewards players for exploring it with great loot, but instead the loot in here is barely worth it, unless you get super lucky and get the cursed necklace to sell. Which means that chest kind of works like a loot box. That's what I find so sadistic. By doing this, they made it clear that they don't want you to explore. They just want you to grind. Sad. Especially because I really could have used the power boost. The enemies down south are far too strong for me. So my only choice is to make it through the swamp cave.